This week we've been looking at the definition of love out of 1 Corinthians 13. It's much more than just a passage for weddings. It's an amazing chapter. And so today we have another powerful verse about how we can live out love in our lives coming up. Hello and welcome once again to the One Verse Daily Devotional. My name's Matt, and we look at just one simple verse every single day to grow a little bit deeper in our faith. And this week we are in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. It is more than a passage for weddings, okay? It was in my wedding. It's great for that. But let's not pigeonhole it just to that one area, because we would miss all this amazing goodness that we can find in this chapter. It's incredible. And so this week we're focused on this little middle paragraph where there's about 4 or 5 verses that give us really the definition of love, what it looks like in our lives. And it's almost impossible to reach. I got to tell you that. It's like the goal is set high, but God has given us this as the bullseye to aim for. This is His love, His perfect agape. Maybe you've heard that term before. That's from the Greek. It means this totally selfless love. So this is the definition of total, selfless, perfect God love. So that's our goal. That's how we're supposed to live. This is the kind of love that has real hands and feet. This is the kind of love that puts its boots on and goes to work. This is the kind of love that isn't this foo-foo, pie in the sky, puppy dog. No, this is love that fights for others. That's why I love 1 Corinthians 13, our one verse today, moving right along. We were in 1 Corinthians 13:4 and verse 5. We've learned that love is patient, love is kind. We learned that it does not dishonor others. It is not proud, because pride is actually the opposite of love. And that when you're prideful, you only worry about yourself. But when you're loving, you put others first. Then we moved on to some really tough areas where it says it's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs, which is like the marriage portion of this passage. At least what I need for my marriage and parenting, right? Those are 2 keys that I, took away. If you missed that, go back and watch or listen to yesterday's episode. Now we move on to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 6. And it says, "Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth." Now you might hear that and be like, all right, good, Matt, this one, I'm just going to go do something else because I don't need this one. I don't delight in evil. Well, hold on for a second, because this one I find interesting. As I read this verse, you know what situation I think of? I think of those times in maybe our career, in our job, where someone gets ahead of us. Maybe there's this promotion that you've been wanting to work towards, that you've been aiming at for the last year or 2 of your career, and then someone else gets it ahead of you. Someone else maybe younger, or who's been there at the company less time than you have. Oh, that kind of hurts, doesn't it, right? Maybe there's this goal in life that you've wanted to reach, and then you see someone else hit it, and you don't know how long they've been doing it or what all that they've gone through to get there. But in your eyes, it looks like it happened pretty quickly. You're like, man, well, I've been trying to do this for years. How did they get there so quickly? Even though we don't know their story necessarily, but we look at them and maybe a little jealousy, maybe a little envy starts to sink in. And we've already learned, which verse was it? In verse 4, that love does not envy. Right? But it starts to sneak in a little bit. That jealousy starts to creep in a little bit when we see someone else getting ahead in an area that we've been striving and working towards. And if we're honest, okay, let's get real deal here. You might not say it to anyone else. You might not tell anyone else. You might not even tell your spouse or your best friend, but deep down in your heart, you kind of hope something bad kind of happens. You maybe hope that something happens to them at the workplace. Maybe their business they started that's making more or doing better than the one that you started. Maybe you're hoping that some tax problems come in, or something happens, or they get hit with the fine, and you wouldn't say it out loud, but deep down, you're kind of hoping a little bit of evil happens for them. And what is our verse today? Love does not delight in evil. When I hear that delight in evil, that's what it makes me think of. When you kind of want something bad to happen to somebody else. Maybe you got that frenemy, right? That you kind of know you're kind of friends with, but you just don't really like them. You don't really care for them. You don't want them to succeed. And yet they seem to have all the best stuff. Right? They drive a better car. Their Instagram photos are just on point, right? Like they have this amazing spouse, this husband or wife that's like, whoa, they are beautiful. Their children are beautiful. They're made up all the right way. Their kids' hair's always done. They have these amazing outfits. And you're like, I got to go back to the thrift store, right? My hands raised right there. And maybe a little bit of that delight in evil starts to creep in. Oh man. Oh, or something bad happens and that little smirk comes on. Oh, they had a fender bender. Oh, I guess sorry for them. And they're really nice, Lexus. I guess they'll have to, whatever. I'm just throwing out different situations, right? But now if we get a little real deal with it, we can see where it's like, no, Lord, I don't delight in evil. Well, what about that person when something kind of bad happened to them and you're like, yeah, they probably deserved it, right? Like it's easy to fall into this trap. And the Bible says that's not loving, that we want to rejoice in truth. We want to rejoice with others, right? Maybe there's a little bit of jealousy there. We got to give that to God because that's not love. Love does not envy. Instead, and I'm telling you, this is like a key for life. And this is hard to get to. But if you can rejoice with them and for them and even help spread the word, I'm in the space of online, ministry business. I mean, I do freelancing, I do all sorts of stuff. And so there's been people that I've seen that I know that I've podcasted longer and yet they have more downloads. I've been on YouTube longer and they have more subscribers. And it's hard sometimes to be like, well, you know what? I've been doing this harder. My stuff's better. I've been working harder. How are they getting the traction? How are they getting the attention? And I'm not, but what I've learned in life is when I move from that area of jealousy and envy and maybe even delighting in evil, hoping that something bad happens to them so they can't keep up with what they've been doing. But instead, when I say, hey, you know what? Go check out this other person. Go check out their blog, their podcast. Listen to them. Watch them. They're incredible. Their content is amazing. They're real deal. Go check them out. Every time I've done that, out of true love, out of true, like not faking it, but really meaning that, I can't tell you what it's done for my heart. And it just kind of lets that jealousy and that envy just break up and like release away. And it's no longer on my shoulders. It's no longer like starving out my heart. No, like when I say no, go check them out. They're amazing. And I kind of push through that envy and that jealousy. And I try to connect to this true love that we learn in 1 Corinthians 13. Man, it does something for me. So I challenge you. Maybe there's that coworker that got that promotion. Rejoice with them. Be kind. Be loving. Show them love. Show them, when they don't even see it. Behind closed doors, praise them. Let them look good. Put them first. And you'd be surprised how that comes back to you. But we don't want to do it for that reason. But I'm telling you, that's kind of that's a pro tip for life. Okay. But also, you're going to be amazed at what it does to your own heart. Even if you never get tangible results from it and it doesn't do anything to help you get ahead in the workforce or in your job or career or creative endeavors. But what it does for your heart alone is amazing. It will bring you freedom. So I encourage you, as 1 Corinthians 13:6 says, don't delight in evil. Don't delight when something bad happens to someone else. Push through that jealousy, push through that envy, and rejoice with them in truth. Have a great day.